Okay, in this video, we're going to fill in the conjectures for trapezoids. So the first one we're going to look at is the consecutive angles between the bases of a trapezoid. So if you click on this, it opens up the trapezoid, and I've already measured the angles, and remember, a trapezoid has one set of parallel sides, but the other two sides are not parallel and cannot be. I've measured the sizes to show that these two sides are not the same. For now, they could be the same if I make them. This would be called an isosceles trapezoid. And we'll look at that kind of trapezoid in a minute, but for now, let's leave it as a non-isosceles trapezoid. And it said the consecutive angles between the bases. So which angles are we talking about? That would be D and B, and then C and A. Those are the angles that are between the bases. The bases are the two parallel sides. So if we add these two angles together, you should notice that they are supplementary. So in other words, they add up to 180. So 93 plus 87 is not as obvious as 140 plus 40 is easier to see. So we would fill in this conjecture by saying the consecutive angles between the bases of a trapezoid are supplementary. Okay, the base angles of an isosceles trapezoid. So now we have to make this into an isosceles trapezoid. So that means the sides are the same, and GeoGebra is rounding right now. So let's see if I can make this. What should happen if it's truly? Let's get a few more decimal. Actually, I got it. So if it's isosceles, then these two sides are the same, and then angle C and D should be the same, and angle A and B should be the same. So the base angles would be called A and B, and C and D. Those are considered base angles as well, and they should be the same. So the base angles are congruent. Okay, and then the diagonals, if we draw those in, the diagonals would be like this. And what's true about those? Well, they intersect here. But if we measure the length, maybe you can tell just by looking at it that these are going to be the same. It gets harder to tell if the trapezoid kind of is bigger or smaller. Sometimes it's harder to tell that those are the same. But in fact, the diagonals will always be the same. So diagonals of an isosceles trapezoid are congruent. One other thing notice is that they do not bisect each other, like meaning that this intersection point is not the midpoint. So sometimes that's not as obvious, and it might take a little sketch for yourself to see and be reminded of it. So copy these conjectures in your notebook if you want to have them, should we have a test at some point in the future. But that's it for trapezoids. You can try the problems on the worksheet now.